The psychologist had never come across a patient quite like this. The man had been on a flight that ended in a catastrophic crash. Hundreds of people lost their lives. Only 5 passengers survived. The airline brought in a psychologist to counsel them. The supervisor chose Lisa as the best person for the job. But Eric's upbeat attitude caught her completely off guard. He showed no trace of someone who had just survived a disaster. He even flirted with her during their conversation. Before he left, he said something that left her deeply offended.
I have a sister.
Yes.
You should call her.
What?
You're better now than later. You could step out in front of a bus or something, and then what?
The 2 sisters had once been very close, but after one argument they hadn't spoken for months. Her sister never seemed to pick up the phone. Lisa gathered the other 4 survivors together. They all had different degrees of memory loss about the moment of the crash. Bob only remembered hearing an explosion. Anna and Rick immediately disagreed. They said the plane simply lost control with no warning at all. Sarah couldn't remember anything. This left Lisa in a difficult spot. Then a stranger suddenly appeared outside the window, watching their every move and adding another layer of mystery to the whole event. The airline's official explanation was pilot error. The captain had lost control of the plane. As for the explosion Bob mentioned, they suggested it was just a hallucination caused by trauma. They refused to answer any more of Lisa's questions. After all, the company had hired her only to calm the survivors down. Eric refused to join the group sessions, so Lisa had to counsel him alone. She was worried about his mental state, but he strongly resisted talking about the crash. All he remembered was a powerful wind rushing across his face, and then suddenly finding himself on the beach where the plane had crashed. Everything else was gone. Instead, he seemed far more interested in Lisa, which left her feeling awkward. Her professional ethics kept reminding her not to cross any lines with a patient. When she reported back to her supervisor, she mentioned how Eric seemed to have an uncanny sixth sense. He had guessed she had a sister and even knew exactly how she liked her coffee. It felt like he could read people better than she could. At the same time, the survivors' stories made Lisa suspect the crash might have been caused by mechanical failure. Her supervisor reminded her that was a matter for the police. She should stick to her own job. The group of 4 was now missing Bob. Anna had also started resisting the sessions. Feeling discouraged, Lisa was about to drive home when a clearly anxious Rick found her. He begged her to get him out of there immediately. He had realized someone was following him, probably sent by the airline. He had also begun remembering sounds and images from the crash. Just like what Bob had described, the crash definitely wasn't caused by pilot error. This airline had already had a mechanical failure incident the previous year. They couldn't survive another scandal. Rick felt his life was in danger. Lisa thought his conclusion seemed extreme, but she calmed him down and drove him home. Still, the conversation had definitely caught her attention. That same day she visited Eric again. He was painting and invited her to join him. Lisa hoped it would help her understand him better. Suddenly a dog started barking outside, and Eric became extremely agitated. In a rage he ran into the street and locked eyes with a stray dog, as if they knew each other. Neither noticed the car speeding toward them. The driver braked just in time to avoid another tragedy. Afterward Eric admitted the crash had caused him pain, but Lisa's presence made him feel much better. He handed her his key so she could let herself in if he didn't hear the doorbell while he was working. That evening, while doing laundry, Lisa ran into her friendly and understanding landlady. She couldn't help telling her about Eric. The landlady simply offered her a well-known saying.
Spread your wings. Life's a moment. Just, it's gone.
The next group session had only 2 women present. Anna felt uneasy. Then John, the person in charge, suddenly appeared. He was very interested in what the survivors were starting to remember. Lisa, however, cared more about the real cause of the crash. John insisted it was the pilot's personal problem. That answer no longer satisfied her. The truth always comes out eventually. The following day she went back to Eric. He told her the crash had given him a sense of rebirth. He took her to the dock, boarded a moored boat, and sailed out to enjoy the night view. Suddenly he stripped off his clothes and jumped into the sea despite her protests. Lisa waited anxiously on the boat, but he didn't surface. Panicked, she jumped in to save him, only to discover he had been teasing her. He could tell she really cared about him. The cold water drew them closer and closer until Lisa finally agreed to start a relationship with him. Encouraged by Eric, she went to her sister's house with a bouquet of flowers. No one seemed to be home, so she left the flowers at the door. As she was leaving she ran into John.
Are you following me?
Is spending the night with your patients a regular part of the thing? Your credibility is on shaky ground.
Next she stopped by Rick's house to see if he was avoiding therapy. The door was unlocked and Rick was nowhere to be found. Just as she turned to leave, the stranger who had been watching them stopped her. Terrified, Lisa tried to get away, but the man desperately called out for help. The haggard-looking man wasn't an airline spy at all, he was another survivor of the crash. He couldn't remember what had happened, so he had been following people who looked familiar, hoping to find answers. Lisa realized this was an important new lead. Meanwhile, Eric had secretly gone to the wreckage site to help Lisa uncover the truth. Looking through the broken fuselage, he began to recover his lost memories. The engine had failed, causing the crash. He could clearly hear the desperate cries for help inside the plane. The horrific screams filled his mind with unbearable pain. A strange old man walked up and stared at him in silence. Not wanting trouble, Eric quickly fled. Lisa brought the survivor, Henry, to confront John about the real cause of the crash and the two missing survivors. Henry recognized John and begged for help remembering. John denied ever seeing him. Henry suddenly lost control and grabbed John by the collar. The heated standoff went nowhere. John left, but Lisa angrily told him the crash could not simply be swept under the rug. When she turned around, Henry had vanished. Only bewildered onlookers remained. Henry had disappeared without a trace. That evening Lisa returned to the therapy group and found only a terrified Anna. Anna said a middle-aged couple had been staring at her. She grabbed Lisa and ran, but they heard Eric calling behind them. On the way back, Eric shared more memories from before the crash. It really had been an engine fire. This confirmed the others had been telling the truth. Anna, fighting back tears, finally stopped denying it. Back home, exhausted Anna confessed her story. She had lost both parents as a child and was raised by her aunt. She had always resented her parents for leaving her alone and making her life feel incomplete. But after facing death, she had finally forgiven them. The two tired women fell asleep on the sofa. Suddenly Eric woke up to a dog barking. His recovered memory brought back his childhood best friend, the dog he had buried in his mother's backyard when he was 6. Seeing the dog disappear sent him into a panic.
I didn't make it.
Yes, you did. That's a neighbor's dog. You're okay. He's gone.
He ran outside, desperate to know if he had really survived. A speeding car stopped right in front of him. Ignoring Lisa's desperate shouts, he ran onto the railway tracks. A train whistle blared. Another train blocked Lisa's view at that exact moment. Only after the trains passed did she see Eric standing there unharmed. But in that instant Eric understood everything. He refused to tell Lisa and angrily sent her away so he could face it alone. Distraught, Lisa returned home to find Anna missing. While searching anxiously, the kind landlady said Anna had just been picked up by a middle-aged couple. Lisa knew Anna had no relatives, yet the landlady kept trying to comfort her.
They'll be fine. Eric will be fine too.
Suddenly Lisa became alert. She had never mentioned Eric's name to the landlady. Strange behavior from everyone around her. Patients disappearing one after another. Too many inexplicable things were happening. In desperation she turned to her supervisor.
I think the airline's targeting the passengers. One by one, they're all disappearing.
Maybe they don't need you anymore.
We gotta stop this, Perry.
But he dismissed her concerns and avoided every suspicious detail. Lisa suspected the airline had bought him off and stormed out. Yet right then she saw the landlady standing beside the supervisor. The two clearly knew each other and shared a hidden secret. Helpless, Lisa went to her sister's house again, hoping to talk through the confusing situation. No one was home. Then she suddenly heard John's voice. He sincerely revealed the real cause of the crash. That day the captain had been dealing with a divorce and wasn't even in the cockpit when the accident happened. This led to the co-pilot's fatal mistake. No matter how John explained it, Lisa refused to believe him. She was convinced the airline was scapegoating the dead captain. From the survivors she had learned there had been an explosion before the crash. The captain had fought with everything he had to give them any chance of survival. In her eyes he was a hero.
That man is a hero.
You are wrong!
John left with deep sadness on his face, muttering to himself that he was that captain. Lisa was puzzled until she found the briefcase he had left behind. She was sure it held the truth, but when she opened the list of victims, she completely broke down. Her own name was clearly printed on it. She was one of the more than 100 people who had died. So what was she now? The only person who could explain everything was Eric. It turned out every one of them was simply a soul taking form. Not everyone realizes right away that they have died. Lisa and the so-called survivors needed loved ones who had passed earlier to gently guide them toward the truth. Others simply stayed silent. What guided Eric was his beloved dog and his closest grandfather. That was why he had run onto the tracks, to prove what he had begun to suspect. Unfortunately Lisa missed that miraculous moment. The people guiding Lisa were her aunt, who had loved her most as a child and now appeared as the warm landlady, and her supervisor, who had once been her favorite history teacher. Anna's guides were her parents, who had both died when she was little. Sadly, no one had survived the crash. On the day it happened, Lisa and Eric had been seated in the same row. The long flight gave them plenty of time to get to know each other. Two single strangers quickly grew close, and their feelings deepened with every word. Sarah had been the flight attendant. John had been the captain of the flight. Other familiar faces had been on board too. John's marriage had fallen apart because of his affair with Sarah. That was why he had kept insisting the pilot caused the accident. It was then that Lisa and the others noticed the engine failure. By the time John reached the cockpit, it was already too late. Lisa, like most passengers, fell into panic. Eric kept trying to calm her, but the situation only grew more hopeless. Some gave up completely. Others prayed their final prayers. Eric told Lisa to brace for impact. He refused to let her lose hope. After all, their relationship had only just begun. Encouraged, Lisa gradually calmed down. They gazed deeply into each other's eyes, silently making a promise. When they reached the next world, they would find each other again. That explains why Eric already knew about Lisa's sister at the very beginning and felt such strong affection for her. In the end, they kept that promise, continuing to love each other in this new world. Everything faded into a bright white light. In the final scene, Lisa's sister came to her home. They could no longer speak, but she saw the card her sister had left for her while still alive. Only then was the knot in the sister's hearts finally untied. The story ends here.